Hi, folks. Thanks for being with us and learning more about the higher ed graduate programs here at Morgan State University. We've got a great group of people, faculty, current students, and alum of the program. We're going to introduce ourselves, talk a little bit about the program, answer some common questions, and then also solicit feedback and questions from the audience. So if you have any questions, please start to put them into the Q&A feature here on Zoom, and we will try to integrate them into our panel discussion, and I'll relay your questions to our panelists here today. Sound good? Oh, great. Okay. So while folks are all transitioning in, I'm going to kick us off. So uh, we're going to do introductions by last name in alphabetical order, starting with our department chair, Dr. Frim Ampau. Frim, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yep. Hi, everybody. My name is Frem Ampao. I am the department chair for the department. And the department is made up of four main areas, of which higher ed is one of the area. I am also a professor of higher education. My focus is around higher education finance and quantitative analysis. Thank you.
Wonderful. Hi, everybody. My name is Virginia Byrne. I'm an associate professor in the Higher Education Student Affairs program. I've been here for about 5 going on 6 years. I study technology in the lives of college students and college instructors, and I am the coordinator of the master's program. So we're going.
Hello, everyone. My name is Julio Fregoso. I'm a faculty in the Higher Education and Student Affairs program. This is my second year. My work focuses on campus racial climates and looking at particularly graduate degree aspirations for transfer students of color, and just generally speaking, looking at community college transfer students as my line of inquiry.
Hi, everyone. I am Jordan Harper, Assistant Professor of Higher Education and Student Affairs. And I am focused on, or my research focuses on, the organization, administration, and governance of colleges and universities. And I really look at leadership, labor, and organizational change as kind of through lines in that work.
Good evening, everybody. I am Steve D. Mobley Jr., and I am an associate professor of higher education and student affairs here at Morgan State University. I am also the program director for our PhD program, and most of my research focuses on contemporary and historical issues concerning students and other communities within historically Black colleges and universities. Glad to be here.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. My name is Christy Owie. I use she, her pronouns, and I am an alumna of the master's program in higher ed, and I am now happily a PhD student. So it was so great. I had to run it back a second time. I'm also an assistant director at Johns Hopkins University.
Wonderful. Great introductions, everybody. So I'm now going to share screen and answer some common questions that folks have about our programs. So I'm just going to do a quick overview, 5 minutes, and then we'll get to your questions. So please keep putting your questions in the chat or the Q&A. All right, everybody can see my screen, right? Cool. Um, Great. Okay, so the Higher Education Student Affairs programs, or the HESA programs at Morgan, prepare individuals for careers as highly effective higher ed administrators and scholars, or scholar practitioners. We have both a Master's of Arts and a PhD program that focus on supporting our students in facing the challenges of higher education in today's global environment. We encourage people to launch careers that are going to push higher education future, tackle 21st century problems, and really lean into thinking about equity and social justice in higher education. So again, we have two programs, a Master of Art program, which prepares students for student affairs positions in higher education, and a PhD program, which is now the Doctor of Philosophy in Education with a concentration in higher education leadership. And that develops scholars and practitioners to take on careers as academic leaders and administrators, public policy experts, researchers, faculty members, and higher education consultants. The program is staffed by 7 full faculty members. So these are all tenure track faculty members. So you'll see many of us here. Some other folks are teaching right now, so they can't be joining us, but you can find all of our bios and contact information on our website. So I'm going to do a quick run through of the master's program and then the PhD program, and then we'll talk about funding, and then we'll come back to our questions. So the master's program is a total of 30 credit hours or 10 classes. That includes an internship and a capstone portfolio, and once a semester residency weekend programs. We'll talk about that later. We welcome both full and part-time folks. We've recently redesigned the program to be an accelerated model so folks can take classes through the summer. And if you're full-time, you can finish the program in a year and a half, or if you're part-time, you can finish the program in 2.5 years. We encourage students to take classes together to keep that cohort model and keep that sense of community. At a high level, this is what the master's program looks like. So it's been redesigned to be hybrid, where students come to campus only once per semester for that residency weekend, and then all other class sessions are on Zoom. We all are gotten pretty good at taking classes and teaching classes on Zoom, and we've really leaned into that space because we found that it's really supportive for folks who work full time or balancing a lot of responsibilities. Our classes are all offered in the evenings. This is true for the PhD program as well. Our classes meet Monday to Thursday, either from 4:30 to 7:15 p.m. or from 7:30 to 10:15 p.m. after the workday is done for most folks. And again, our students only come to campus once per semester for residency weekend, which is a fun 2.5 days of professional development and in-person courses. Brief overview of the PhD program. It is 54 credits or 18 classes, where 9 of those classes are part of an academic core and 9 classes are in the higher education concentration. There's a couple of checkpoints in addition to coursework. So the preliminary progress assessment, which is the end of the first year reflection, a comprehensive exam after coursework is done, and then the dissertation project. This is a list of the concentration courses. If it feels like I'm going too fast, please know that I'm going to email you all of this afterwards. But this can also be found in both the FAQ document and on our website. And these courses are taught by those of us in the room. So if you have questions about them, we'd love to talk about it here. We are also the folks that advise the dissertations. So all dissertating students are matched up with a faculty member who is their dissertation committee chair. And we work intensely with that student individually, both as their advisor when they're picking classes, when they're thinking through their dissertation proposal, trying to pick a study topic, and as they write their study, or as they conduct their study, as they write up their dissertation, and then when they get to the dissertation defense stage. The PhD program offers both high residency and low residency options. The high residency students take classes both on campus and on Zoom, and the low residency students take classes almost exclusively on Zoom, except for those once per semester residency weekends. We really love residency weekend. It's a fun opportunity to get to know your faculty and your peers, to foster your own scholarly identity, build community. I found it to be a really great way to get to know my advisees more. Again, it's usually the first weekend of the semester. We announce the dates about a year in advance, and this is the usual schedule. So it's a Friday afternoon and evening, a Saturday all day, and then a Sunday most of the day. So a quick rundown of important dates. We really encourage everyone to submit their applications by January 15th. That is the priority deadline, especially if you're interested in graduate funding. If you're interested in funding, you must apply by January 15th. The last day to apply, however, is March 1st. And the last day to tell us if you're interested in funding is also March 1st. But again, we really encourage everyone to apply by January 15th. And then all students are required to make a commitment by April 15th. All of our application materials are coordinated by the School of Graduate Studies. So if you have any questions, we really encourage you to reach out to them directly. They have both a little chat bot and a pretty active email response system. So quick overview of funding. The department offers three types of funding: research assistantships, teaching assistantships, and tuition awards. Again, all of this information can be found on our website. It is the funding page. I hope it's easy to find on the website. Research assistants work 20 hours a week for the academic year with a faculty member doing research and are provided with both a stipend and a tuition award. Teaching assistants work with a faculty member to teach a class. Again, they work 20 hours per week during the academic year. They receive a stipend and a tuition award. And then tuition awards are also available to certain students who are not GAs, who have exhibited academic merit and promise, and are provided with tuition funds. Again, if you want to learn more about this or any of the other aspects of GA funding, I really encourage you to go to either our funding website or the School of Graduate Studies funding website, where you will find out a lot more than these details. So that's my quick run through. And now I'm going to pitch some questions to my panelists. So, starting with Steve. Steve, can you tell us a little bit about the PhD program and what makes the PhD program different and unique, and well, who's in it? Who are the PhD students?
What do you mean about the PhD program? Like, what more should they want to know?
So, what makes our PhD program different than other PhD programs? If people were comparing our PhD program to others, what makes ours stand out?
Well, one word, HBCU. So that definitely makes our program stand out. I also think that there is a specific ethic of care that we have for our students that you may not find at a predominantly white institution. Um, I also feel like our program is special in that we have a strong social justice undercurrent and are very much so in the business of areas and topics within higher education and student affairs that surround Black students, Black policies, and different topics that surround these communities within higher education and our college campuses with regard to organizational governance and even not only just students, but other topics and policies surrounding that. You also asked about our students and who are they? I don't think I can really pinpoint one specific type of PhD student within our program, but that's, I think, what makes us special. We have students that work full time. We have students who are working full time and going to school full time. We have students who are here and doing teaching assistantships full time. We have students that are doing research assistantships full time. We have a very diverse group of students that come from various sectors of higher ed or people that may not have had any higher ed experience but are now wanting to get into the field. So I think our program is very special. I think also what makes it special too is that our program is the oldest within HBCU communities, and we've been in the business of producing doctorates for a very, very long time. So I'm excited to be here. I also think that being housed at Morgan State, that is in the midst of immense transformation, makes for a phenomenal incubator to observe what you're studying being put into practice and praxis, where you're joining theory and practice. So I hope that you all can join us.
Wonderful. And now passing that question over to Christy. So Christy is a current student in our PhD program. Christy, why did you pick this PhD program and what do you think makes it special?
I chose this program because I was super intentional about wanting to attend an HBCU. All of my mentors that I had ironically met at my PWI were all products of HBCUs. And the community of care that I find is really strong at an HBCU is exactly what I wanted for my master's program. I had been out of school for a couple of years, and oftentimes within like the higher ed space, folks go straight from undergrad to a master's program. And so I knew I wanted a space where I felt cared for because I was unsure about how that transition was going to work out for me. And I can say it's worked excellently. I find that this is a really strong program, and I do have to agree with Dr. Mobley in terms of the social justice centering in our program. When I speak with my peers who are receiving their education at other institutions, they are not having the sorts of conversations that we are having in the classroom. They are not being able to engage so thoughtfully and so authentically with their professors and their peers. And I think that that is what really makes Morgan State stand out. And that is definitely why I came back, right? Like, so this is why I chose it. This is why I came back. This is why I stay, right? It's really been an excellent experience for me in that regard and every other one.
Wonderful. All right, I'm going to go a little on a tangent, but we talked a little bit in the slides about the different modalities for the PhD program. There's low residency and high residency, and the master's program is also low residency. And I wonder, I'm going to pass this to Dr. Harper. Can you talk a little bit about how we, as faculty, teach these Zoom classes? What is a low residency Zoom experience like for a student?
Yeah, so I think like you alluded to earlier, I think we've all perfected the Zoom classroom in these last couple of years. So, just to be clear, it's not like you're just logging into Canvas and kind of going at your own pace. You're going to log on to class every single week, sitting on Zoom. I know a lot of us have a lot of different teaching styles that, work across the board. I know that we utilize a lot of online platforms. We will do a lot of breakout rooms. When you, especially for the interested doctoral students in the room, you can expect that we will still have a lot of rich conversations in class, really dynamic conversations in class. And we make sure that the quality does not go down in any way, shape, or form. It is definitely still high.
Yes. And then Dr. Mobley, could you talk a little bit about the high residency students and what they can expect?
You can expect a show. I know, and I don't let it so flippant, but no, um, you're getting a high resident experience. So you are on campus. Thank you to Dr. Empal for actually making that process, I would say, easier for our students. And now that we're really starting classes at 5:30, so you have plenty of time to get to campus from work. I know for me, for instance, I have instituted a snack culture. So we're having a snack break. I've had some industrious students where it turns into a dinner break where they have literally catered food for us to be in community. It's very rich conversation. You are, what I also love is that you're going to be in class with students from across the department. So you're learning from our colleagues in urban education and math and science ed and community college leadership. And you also have the option to join, well, maybe not the option because if your class is via Zoom, you have to come to our residency weekend, but you're also meeting your cohort members during residency weekend. I don't want to derail us, but I do want to have Dr. Harper jump back in. And I think he has a phenomenal answer for this question I'm about to ask him. But can you please give us a bit of a bird's eye view or a viewpoint for students who are deciding between low and high res? I just love your response to that question.
Yeah, so I'll start with my own experience. When I was going through my doctoral journey, I was derailed by the pandemic, so I had a little bit of both. I had in person and I also had an online experience. And I would say that when it comes to choosing between high residency and low residency, I think the big thing that everyone in the room needs to kind of keep in mind is you have to have a high level of commitment across both low residency and high residency. It's not, I don't want anyone in this room to think like low residency is easier than high residency. That is not the case at all. It may be convenient for your schedule, but I think also you need to think about the type of experience that you want. I know a lot of times We have folks that are interested in Morgan State because they want an HBCU experience, for example. Well, it's hard to get a quote unquote HBCU experience when you never step foot on the campus, when you're just doing low residency or you're just popping up for residency weekends, which only happen once a semester. So I think that's something for everyone to kind of think about in the room. But also just remember that, engaging in advanced study at this point, whether it be master's or PhD, is going to be a commitment regardless, and you're going to have to carve out that time regardless, whether you are logging onto class or showing up on campus. So that's just something to keep in mind for sure. But think about what works for you in your schedule, but also challenge yourself, push yourself, make that type of decision that you'll thank yourself for in the next couple of years.
Well said. If I may, I would now love to pivot to, we've talked a lot about residency weekend, and I wonder if I can ask Dr. Ampow, could you tell us a little bit about like where did the idea of residency weekend come from? What could people expect from a residency weekend?
So the idea of residency weekend came from building off of what Dr. Harper was saying is we recognize the low residency option and its flexibility for students, but we know that you miss out on a lot by being low residence. And so to help alleviate some of it, we are not able to do all of it, but to bring students on campus to be part of an experience, get to meet each other, get to see each other, so you're no longer just always on Zoom, uh, provided a valuable experience. But one of the things that was also critical was to have a time where we are able to impact some of the hidden gems about graduate education, right? There's only so much we can teach in class, but there's a lot of things that one would say it's a hidden curriculum in graduate education that nobody ever talks about, but being able to do that in a special professional development series that we offer during the residency weekend has been valuable. It allows us to have conversations that you may get to in class, but you never really get to it fully, but just to talk fully about that. And then it also gave us the opportunity to do what we call a writing institute and to help students to start thinking about their writing right from the beginning. So it really is a time to help support our students in ways that we are not able to get to in the classroom. And so that's really what the residency weekend is about.
Thank you. I think they're quite fun. Okay, Dr. Mobley, some rapid fire PhD program questions. How many students are typically accepted per cohort in the PhD program?
I hate that word typical. Because we don't have a prescribed number. But I will say this because I like to be very transparent. Um, this year, so our first year students, we accepted, yielded, right? Yielded. Our cohort that's incoming, well, they're not incoming anymore. Wow, that's so wild we're saying that. This year's cohort was 10 students. And so that was for fall 25. And fall 24's cohort was 8 students. So I hope that answers the question.
Yes.
Well, I
Next.
will say this though.
Oh,
Knowing our faculty and even thinking about just what is comfortable, I do not see us ever accepting, well, I'll never say never, but I do not foresee us accepting a cohort over 12 students. For
okay.
advising structures, for class structures, so that you're having the best in classroom experience and that we're graduating you, right? Because I'm sure a question is going to be asked is how long do students stay in? And we want to ensure our students for success from the very beginning. So I think I can confidently say that. I see my other colleagues nodding that a comfortable cohort will be between 8 to 12 students per year. And that is a mixture of high res and low residency students.
Now you alluded to advisors. Can you talk about how students get placed with advisors?
Sure. Um, we have been very deliberate and intentional in placing students with advisors who match their research interests. So I encourage all of you who are wanting to apply and are interested in our program to really research and become familiar with our faculty so that you can know possibly who you want to work with to not only advise you, but chair you in the future.
Wonderful. Last question. Does the PhD program do any prospective student visit days or meetings with you? How would a prospective student get some face time?
Yeah, just email me. And I have been meeting with students since August, July. I'm never off work, right? So I've been meeting with students. I feel like I'm doing admissions all year. But I don't mind meeting with prospective students. Coming to campus, it's not tricky. You can definitely set up those visits. We've had many students come and see us. Actually, I think you set me up for alley. If you're wanting to come to campus, I would highly advise you all, if you can, to come in January. And Dr. Ampok can talk about this, but we're having our graduate student research symposium, and we're going to be having admissions meetings with students during our spring residency weekend in January on the 23rd, Dr. Ampok. They can come, yep, come to campus on January 23rd in the evening, and we would love to talk with you. Actually, a little bit of an anecdote. We had a student transfer in last year who visited our residency weekend, and she got FaceTime with myself and other faculty members and was able to really start that relationship. And I do believe that that helped her out quite a bit with her application because she was our first transfer student we've had in a very long time.
You did that perfectly. I just put the registration information in the chat. We'd love to see you there in person, eat some hors d'oeuvres, chit chat in real life. Okay, so I want to transition over to talk briefly about the master's program. So the master's program also usually tries to get about 10 students per incoming cohort. Um, some common questions we have about the master's program is that we do very much welcome people who are working full time, who want to do the program part time. I've heard that often, so our program requires a 1 semester internship. That is very common amongst programs so that people get professional work experience. But I know that there's some hesitancy amongst folks who work full time that it just feels like a little too much. And so I want to share that we are very aware of this, and we have lots of internship placement sites that accommodate people who work full time. We are creative about how to make sure these experiences, these hands-on experiential learning experiences, fit the life of busy working professionals, busy working parents, people who are just busy. So know that the master's program is designed with busy people in mind and yet still pretty fun. So I'm going to pass to Christy. Christy did our master's program and was the graduation speaker for the whole university when she graduated. Christy, would you talk a little bit about what makes our master's program unique?
So, aside from it being super helpful for working professionals and absolutely designed for working professionals, what I loved about our master's program is that you are in class with doctoral students as well. And so you are having the opportunity to learn from your peers in a really tangible way that you may not be getting in a program that does not include the mixing of master students and doctoral students in a program together. So if you are in class with someone who has been in the profession for 20 plus years and has come back for their PhD, that is someone that you can be learning from in real time in the classroom. And they are adding so much richness to the conversation as your peer. And it really allows for master students to dive headfirst into expanding their academic network and their professional network at the same time. Students that I have been in the doctoral program or have taken classes with that were doctoral students when I was a master student, they have helped me to find jobs. They have worked with me on presentations. They have become friends. They have sent over internships and put me on to different opportunities. And so I loved being able to be in the master's program and have doctoral students be my peers and get a chance to like really engage with them and learn from them and create friendships. And I wanted to go back to a piece about like being engaged on campus. So I don't have to be on campus to do my classes. They're all online, but Morgan State is hands down one of the most engaging institutions that I've ever been at because I go to events outside of the residency weekend. So if you are looking for the HBCU experience, it will not be the same as being an undergraduate, right? It's not going to be the same. But when there are performances on campus, go to that. Like, we have an amazing choir, we have an amazing arts department. Like, engage the campus still. Come do your homework on campus. I love going to our library. It is so nice. The librarians are literally angels. They are so sweet. But, come on campus, engage the campus, be really thoughtful because it's not the same, but it's still valid. You just have to put in a little bit of effort. And Morgan makes it easy because there's always something happening.
Nice. Okay, so I want to pass it to Dr. Harper or Dr. Fregoso. Would you talk a little bit about what you both teach in the master's program? Um, what do you think prospective master students might want to know about the program, or any advice you'd give them?
I
But
think people, oh, go ahead.
no, you go.
I think people come to Morgan because they want community purpose and training that prepares them to lead with equity in mind. I think it's a different experience than most HISA programs, and I say that in the best way. I feel like one big reason people join our higher ed program is the kind of community they can find here. And I think Morgan being an HBCU with its history and uplifting folks, that mission really just drives student comes in through to the program. And I think students and faculty come because they want to do the higher ed work in a place where equity and social justice aren't just buzzwords. They're part of the everyday conversations and the teaching and the research that we do. So I would just kind of keep that in mind as you're making the decisions about where programs you're thinking about pursuing.
Yeah, and I would also add, I think the kind of like intimate nature of the master's program is such a kind of beautiful thing at Morgan. I have taught in master's programs that have hundreds and hundreds of students, and it's not that fun. It's not that fun. It's hard to develop that community, right? And I think the beauty of our program too is just the kind of intimate nature for master students if you're interested in that and really getting to know folks, like you'll definitely get to do that here. And I teach governance and administration in higher ed, and really what that course, the way that the kind of makeup of that course is like both master's and PhD students, kind of to Christie's earlier point. And um, I think that is a very kind of unique and beautiful thing to be in a class with master students and PhD students and getting to learn and hear. All about, the PhD journey, even in those types of classes, if that's something that you're even interested in or remotely interested in, you'll kind of get a little taste of it, and you'll develop relationships with those students, and you can tap into them, and they can help you kind of navigate that journey too. So I think that's another kind of really nice thing about our particular program, and something for folks, master's students, prospective master students, in particular, to think about, like, if you have any desire right now to continue on past your master's degree and continue on with some type of doctorate degree, this is a really nice place to be because you're definitely going to get exposure.
Yeah. The master's program is designed to help people um, either enter into the field of student affairs if you're a career changer. It is there to help you get to the next level in your career if you've realized you've sort of gotten to the top of where you can get without a master's in student affairs. But it also prepares people for a future PhD if that's what you're interested in. And so during the residency weekend, but also in all of your classes, you're going to be hearing the faculty talk about what you could be doing to prepare for those different opportunities. Um, Unlike the PhD program, I, as the program director, advise all the master students. We do a lot of group advising. You spend a lot of time with me. You come to a potluck at my house, and it's nice that it's small because my place isn't big, right? So like it is a nice, intimate community, and folks really get to know each other pretty well, which is fun. So the I now want to transition over to what I'm seeing a lot of people have questions about, which is financial aid and graduate assistantships. So financial aid and graduate assistantships are available, or there's opportunities for both prospective master students and PhD students. And I talked a little bit about the three types. There's also more about that on the website. But I want to pass it to Dr. Ampow, who I see answering a lot of the questions in the chat, or sorry, in the Q&A. So, Dr. Ampow, can you talk a little bit about the graduate assistantship request process and what people should know?
So we have, as you mentioned, we have two types of research assistantships. We have two types of assistantships. We have a research assistantship and a teaching assistantship. And so both of those are fully funded assistantships. You get 18 credits for fall and spring, and you receive a stipend of about 21,000 for the academic year. As I mentioned in the Q&A, we prioritized high residency students. We want students who can be here. We also, the teaching assistantship is you're working with folks who are teaching, for the most part, undergraduate classes, especially as a first year PhD student. You'll not be within our department, you'll be outside of our department. And so we tend to prioritize people who have master's degrees or bachelor's degrees in fields that are present within Morgan. So if you have a master's degree in social work, for example, you can be assigned to be a course instructor with a social work faculty member. And the teaching assistantship is a really structured assistantship program. They offer you training to become teachers, and then you have you get that match. So for people who can be teaching assistants, we have a lot more teaching assistantship offers than we have research assistantship. So people who can take on the teaching assistantship role are more likely to be able to get an assistantship. The research assistantship piece, you actually work directly with faculty members in our department. It doesn't necessarily mean you'll be working with one of us. So you may be assigned to work with a faculty member in science and math or any of the different departments. So any of the different programs within our department, and you'll be working with the faculty member on their research area. I tend to try to match, but that's not necessarily always. It depends on how many assistants we have. And so the research assistantship process is very competitive. We only have about 12 across not just for first year students, we only have 12 research assistantship across the entire department. And so usually I only have about 2 or 3 to offer incoming students, and that really goes across the department. So as I mentioned, we have a PhD program that has 7 concentrations, higher ed being just one of that. So the research assistantship is very, very competitive. And that's where, once again, if you are high residency, you are more likely to get it than low residency. The tuition awards is one of the things I really love about Morgan. I've been at so many places where we don't get that. So tuition awards really assist you with your tuition, and we are able to give that to people who are working and just to help pay your tuition. And there are no work responsibilities with it. We tend to be able to give you 3 to 6 credits, depending on what you're doing. And you are really able to get that for about 4 years. And so depending on how well you do with your dissertation, that could fully fund mostly fund your PhD progress. And we are also able to offer. So for master's program, and Dr. Ben will talk about this, master students cannot receive a teaching assistantship. And as I've mentioned, the research assistantship, they can receive a research assistantship, but that is very limited. So that gets very competitive, and we are more likely to give it to a PhD students. But master students can receive a tuition award, and we are working with some of our partners to create awards within the institution for them. And so that's the criteria. You have to be admitted into the program by March 1st to receive an award. So if you do not apply for the January 15th program, so our deadline is January 15th. The goal is that by February 15th, you know whether you are admitted or not. and by March 1st, you should apply for it. So if you are not admitted into the program by March 1st, you cannot receive an award. I'm only awarding people who have been admitted. And so if you don't meet the January 15th deadline, you're not going to be part of the award process. There is a separate application that once you are admitted, you're going to receive that. So be on the lookout for that to apply for an assistantship. So once you are admitted into the program, you will receive the application form to apply.
Yeah, I want to restate that so that folks really hear that because I know it's different at other schools. You don't apply for a GA position when you submit your application. You submit your application by January 15th to the School of Graduate Studies, and then once admitted, you will be contacted to apply for a graduate assistantship or tuition award. If you have more questions about this or want to see the form ahead of time, you should go to the link I put in the chat that says more about funding here because that is where we're putting all the information about funding. Did we miss? Oh, a question I think anybody in the group can answer. What's it like to be a GA? What's it like to work with a faculty member on a research project? Let's start with research assistance. What's it like? Someone want to answer that one first?
I can go. It really it varies, I think, depending on what the faculty member that you're kind of matched with, what they have going on. It could be anything from literature reviews to data collection to data analysis and all the things that come before, after, in between. Conference presentations, like all of it. And I think it's kind of exciting to have this kind of RA experience, especially because it's like, you're bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, first year, you're excited, you're ready to kind of dive in. And it's a really good experience. Just to learn different research skills and develop expertise in a variety of different areas. Because especially for again the PhD students, you're going to have to do a dissertation at the end of this. And when you have research assistant experience before that, it's like, your dissertation is not the first time that you're going to touch data. Your dissertation won't be the first time that you're writing, publishable works and things like that. So, it's a nice way to get different experience and kind of gear you up and get you ready for that particular milestone down the road. I guess I can speak to the TA one too. The teaching assistant one too is that can vary as well, right? That can be, grading, it can be leading a class discussion or two, sitting in class every week and engaging in the conversation alongside students and helping in any way, shape, or form. So that one can also look a little different, but just kind of being in the classroom and getting that experience is great and it's exciting.
Anyone else want to speak to the experiences of GAs or TAs?
I feel like I can feel you looking at me, Dr. B. I can feel it. Okay. So I have worked with Dr. B as her GA and as her TA in the past, and I'm currently her GA, or I'm sorry, TA right now. Um, Amazing experience. So personally, I want to be a professor, and so being able to have this teaching experience has been wonderful for me. I have learned so much. My confidence has skyrocketed. I have really enjoyed being able to work with Dr. B each week, like how are we planning out, the lesson for this week, and how is it relating to the readings, and what am I synthesizing from the material? What am I adding to the conversation to help our students really get their thoughts going and move the conversation to what's happening right now as practitioners and scholars? And so It's not to say that it's going to be in the bag for me when I eventually go out onto the job market to become a professor, but the experiences that I've had have been invaluable. And they have also, there's a lot of flexibility in this, right? Again, the programs are built for working professionals. So we are able to make this happen. And it's been great. It's honestly been great. And I would not trade the experience personally, for something else. I truly have enjoyed being able to teach and learn in this very hands-on way, here at Morgan.
And if y'all are lucky in the future, you could take a class for Christy as your TA because she is the greatest. Somebody asked a question in the chat about how to get research experience when you are not doing a real research assistantship. And I have had the pleasure of working with a lot of graduate students in research roles. And I will say that that is very tricky to do. So is it possible? Yes. You reach out to a faculty member, you say like, I'm interested in your thing. Could you add another person to your team? I can't do a research assistantship, but I'm interested. What's hard about that is it's life begins to get busy, and the first thing to get taken off somebody's plate is the stuff you're not getting paid to do. So I will say it's challenging to I've seen folks struggle with it, but it is definitely possible. I just published a paper with one of our students who was on my research team, was not a part of like works full time, couldn't handle a research experience or a full GA experience, but brought all of his professional expertise to our research team and really helped us better analyze the data. We just gave him a smaller slice of it, but he was still a great member of the team and got a publication out of it, which is key, right? Um, Anybody else want to talk about GA things before we move on to admissions things? Okay, then, Dr. Mobley, we're going to do some more rapid fire at you. Uh, Folks didn't study education for their master's program. Are they still allowed to apply?
Yep, we accept students from all different majors and backgrounds.
Great. So does the master's program. Uh, Next, what tips do you have for someone who's applying who has feeling imposter syndrome as a first-gen PhD applicant? This isn't
I want
rapid
to open
fire
that up.
question. Yeah, that's not a rapid fire question. I got excited. The room, what loving feedback and advice do you have for a first-gen PhD applicant feeling imposter syndrome?
Well, one thing I will say, I do want to give this advice because I think that I was one of these students. And you don't know what you don't know. You know what I wish I would have done, and all my friends and my homies were doing this before they applied. Please meet with faculty before you apply to these programs. I did not know that was an option, y'all. And do I think my life would have been different? No. I got into Maryland. I went to Maryland. I got into some really good programs. I was very, very blessed. But I know that had I met with faculty beforehand, I would have made some different choices. And even who I chose as an advisor. Like the website can only tell you but so much. And I'm not saying that my colleagues, their information is dated, but I know that my information is my information on my page, but there's things that I don't have on there that I'm also engaging in, if that makes sense, right? Please meet with faculty if you can, before you apply. That would be a really, really big piece of advice because that will ease a lot of your anxiety and tension. And also, that faculty member may be on the admissions committee and can speak to what they don't see on paper, if that makes sense. Like Dr. Harper could be like, I met with Tarian and he's doing this research and he seems very focused. And, and we're going to be like, well, tell us more about that, right? If you can meet with a faculty member or more or two, please do that. I really wish I would have done that 15 years ago.
So one of the things I want to add is one of the great things about Morgan is you're coming into a program where most people are feeling that way, and we recognize that most people are feeling that way. And that's, I mean, that's one of the reasons we did a residency weekend, is because if you go to another program, nobody is going to tell you some of the things we will tell you at residency weekend, because we recognize who we are bringing in, and and all of us were that way. I don't know, like at other places you see people whose parents have PhDs and whose grandparents have PhDs. I don't know anybody on our faculty whose parent had a PhD, right? And so these are people who have had the same experience as you, and we recognize that, and we try to make it very open. So we all have the imposter syndrome, but we are all in the same boat. Your cohort members are going to be in the same boat. So but we will take care of you. We have an ethic of care to ensure that the people we bring in, we make sure they can graduate.
Other things you think applicants need to know? We welcome career changers. We welcome folks from different backgrounds. You can email us. I just put some information in the chat. You might be able to find us at some events coming up.
I
I'll,
think, go ahead, Jordan.
no, I'll just be quick. I'll add when it comes to writing that statement, that personal statement, statement of purpose, be sure to be very clear and explicit and do some personal reflections as to why Morgan State is the place for you. I think, it's fine that you want an HBCU experience, but also what else is there? Like, and also, especially for the PhD applicants, being very clear, and this was already said earlier, but just being very clear about, um, who is on the faculty in the program that could support you. That is going to be a way that we can, as a program, really kind of decide fit and make sure that this is going to be a place for you. We're not just interested in putting butts in seats. We want to make sure that this is a nice fit for everyone involved, not just, one-way streets here. So just those two little tidbits.
Yeah, I think with the master's program in particular, almost everybody that is part of the program is a first generation graduate student. And so it is a big part of what we're doing is just like that community of care, that culture of care. So a couple weeks ago, Christy and I recorded a video and I put it on YouTube that breaks down exactly what we think you should be doing for the personal statement. And we talk through each different piece. And then if you look at the FAQ I put in the chat, I also talk through and provide a lot of resources about how to make a resume if you don't have a professional resume yet. Um, and so I'll also drop that YouTube link in the chat. Dr. Mobley, did you want to say anything else about what you hope folks put in their applications?
We do not expect you to have a rigid or narrow topic of interest for your dissertation. But we do want you to be open, and we do want you to be open and curious, but you do need to have a topic, if that makes sense. Like, we don't want you can't say I want a PhD because I want a PhD. Like, it should have a purpose behind it, but we want you to be flexible in your learning. But you should be able to come and state with some deliberate and intentionality about why Morgan, why a PhD, and what are your research interests broadly. That will help you stand out quite a bit.
All right, in our final minutes together, it's looking like we've answered almost all these questions. Thank you so much to my colleagues here for answering the questions in writing. I wonder if folks want to talk about why you picked Morgan. We all picked Morgan at one point. Christy, I know you've answered this before, but Dr. Fragoso, Dr. Harper, Dr. Mobley, Dr. Ampau. Why did you pick Morgan?
So I was looking for a place where I knew the student was at the center of the work and not people's research agendas, right? There are a lot of doctoral programs where the faculty's research is what is driving what students do. But at Morgan, the students' interest is what's driving what happens in their dissertation and in the classroom.
To be frank, I explore and my research is centralized within HBCU environments. And I did not think I would be having this opportunity until I was near retirement. So when I saw this opportunity arise, I needed to apply. And to be even franker, I was just tired of white supremacy and being the only and being around the majority. And I needed to come home with my people to a brave space in a very deliberate and intentional manner. So um, that's why I'm here. And I am very excited that I made that decision to be in a space where I know that Blackness and Black liberation are at the center. And I have students here, and even my non-Black colleagues are also in the business of centering um, these topics, and we're not shy about that. Yeah, that's why I'm here, and I hope that's why you all may be applying. That should I will say that too. If that is not in the center of your purpose and wanting to come here, then you're going to have a hard time during admissions and in the process if you're not deliberate and intentional about why Morgan, why an HBCU, why do you want to study? Like that should really be at the core of why you want to be here.
If I can echo, so I worked in student affairs around the Baltimore area for years and knew people that had done the Morgan programs and was just so impressed by them. And I remember talking to somebody like, you are so rad and incredible and asking incredible questions in department meetings. Where did you go to grad school? And they're like, oh, I did my master's at Morgan. And I was like, well, I have to get myself there. Because what I learned in my master's did not prepare me the way your master's program prepared you to have tough conversations about equity in higher education in a way that doesn't cause just absolute explosions and meltdowns. So, like, the program prepares people to do really strategic work in a way that personally my master's program did not prepare us for. And so I spent a long time trying to figure out how to get into Morgan, and it's been a wonderful place. And I want to cap us off by saying thank you to my colleagues, thank you to Christy, thank you to all of you who are here. Um, Please, everybody, reach out to us, send us some emails. We'd love to talk to you, and we look forward to reading your applications due January 15th. Bye, y'all.